Every now and again, something happens that was not expected. Now, I'm not going to say that there is complete consensus on this issue, but Rogue One was one of those movies that I fully expected to go in and to be semi entertained, but not really super impressed. But I was more than impressed and more than entertained. I enjoyed the movie. I was pulled into the movie. I didn't want the movie to end. I wanted there to be more. Of course, I knew how everything was going to, I knew what would be the ultimate outcome, obviously, because this is a precursor to what happens in the original set of Star Wars movies that released. And when the show was announced, I kind of had that same thought. The show called Andor. It's what happened before Rogue One. I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if this is something that I will enjoy. Do I even need this? Well, I mean, do we need any of it? No. But I was pleasantly surprised, and Andor season one really did, it grabbed me. I didn't think I would be as interested as I was, but after the first episode, I grew increasingly interested with every episode. It was intriguing. It was the spy element to it, the different things going on with the Empire that people are not paying attention to. It's like, man, this is what Star Wars should feel like. It's kind of what I felt like when I saw Mandalorian season 1 and 2. It's like a space western. It's not 100% all focused just on the Jedi. And the original Star Wars movies, when you watch them, even though, yes, this is, for all intents and purposes, the story of Luke Skywalker and the Skywalker family, but you didn't really feel like only Jedi existed. And I think that this might sound like sacrilege to some super Star Wars enthusiasts, so forgive me, just bear with me. The hyper focus on Jedi only, I think, strips away some of the other elements of Star Wars. I think you can focus on Jedi, but also recognize that, yo, this is a vast universe in a galaxy far, far away, and there is a lot more than just Jedi at play. But this is what we've gotten from some of the more recent movies. With all that said, a new trailer, but some things we've seen in other trailers dropped for Andor season 2. So we're going to watch that and see what's coming to Andor final season, streaming April 22nd.
I came with you to be part of something.
So already I can tell you, I think this trailer will be received better than that initial trailer that was released for season 2. In the initial trailer, they used modern music, which is not necessarily a problem, but I think when you're dealing with Star Wars, I think uniformly most people would prefer Star Wars themed music and not to have a focus on modern music. By the way, I've seen some really good fan-made Star Wars movies that I may watch on this channel and kind of do some reactions and commentary on, because I think in the fan space, there's people doing things and with little to no budget and doing a really fantastic job for really not having much of a budget, which is actually kind of mind-boggling. Yo, I love Forrest Whitaker's character. You know what I think this show captured? Andor really did capture the sense of hopelessness with everything that the Empire had going on. And I'm like, you know what? I actually like that. Even though I know what's coming, you still get that enthusiastic, like, oh, they're gonna beat him. And eventually, the Empire does get taken down, but not before the rebels take some premium losses. So I like the fact that they captured that feel.
Up in flames, it will burn very brightly.
But if I'm giving up everything, I want to win. We have to.
You know what's I tell you another good thing about this show. A show that has a grand story that portrays its characters in such a way that you care about each individual character. And I think a movie that recently has done this is Godzilla Minus One. It managed to like pull you into the drama behind the individual characters while focusing on a movie about this kaiju Godzilla. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, as I was watching a movie, I felt myself more pulled into some of the drama of these characters and almost forgot that I was watching a Godzilla movie, which is kind of crazy. To me, that's a testament to whoever the writers and directors are. And I think Andor, in a lot of ways, managed to do that in season 1. Like, you got pulled into individual characters, even though this is a grand story on a large scale in a galaxy far, far away.
We must stand together. We will be crushed.
Resistance is absurd.
It's a weapon. They're building.
I can't remember how much they said was spent on Andor season 1 and 2. I can't remember the exact number. I think it was 12 episodes in season 1. And the number that I heard quoted was pretty large. And I'm going to have to look that up to fact check that, because if it really cost that much to produce Andor, wow. But side note, the special effects were actually really good. It did kind of feel more like a movie than it did a show in some respects.
Weapon. The monster will come for us all.
Revolution is not for the saying. You're right here, and you're ready to fight.
There's a future here for those who dare. Welcome to the rebellion.
Yo, I'm telling you, this makes me really want Star Wars to return to glory and be the giant that it once was. So I wanted to go over this article, StarWarsNewsNet.com. It covers some of the details of this trailer. And the reason I wanted to go to this article is, again, as I believe I've said before, I love Star Wars, but I would consider myself a Star Wars enthusiast, definitely not a Star Wars expert. Star Wars theory, yeah, that dude's an expert. Me, I love it, loved it since I was young, but it's not one of those things that I love and I go into the weeds with the details. I love watching it. I've enjoyed the stories, the tales, watching some of the different things growing up in the 80s from Star Wars, Ewoks and all that good stuff. Anyway, the official trailer for Andor Season 2 has arrived. The trailer sets the scene for the series, expanding on footage previously shown and giving us our best sense of the story and direction of the series. In this post, we'll break down all the details this last trailer reveals. The trailer opens with Cassian walking down an open hallway, looking over his shoulder with a determined look on his face. He has a satchel over his shoulder. In the previous trailers, we see Cassian blowing up a building. Perhaps he's holding the explosives for this mission. Cassian's dialogue says, "I came with you to be a part of something." This suggests Cassian is feeling frustrated with his role. This also ties into his dialogue in Rogue One, where he talks about his violent acts needing to mean something. And if you watch the first season, you kind of get that sense, like, he doesn't want this to be in vain. He joined something to make a difference. And at first, kind of a skeptic, but he became a true believer. The things that he went through has made him a true believer, and he wants these things to matter. And you get that sense. We see Cassian wearing a red Imperial test pilot's uniform. We know this from toy reveals. Speaks to a woman in the same uniform saying the Empire cannot win. This woman must be a co-conspirator in Cassian's theft of the experimental TIE fighter we've seen several times now. We see few more looks at his heist, with stormtroopers coming to the aftermath of the theft and Cassian blasting through a wall to escape. Saw looms large in this trailer, looking more disheveled and similar to his Rogue One appearance. Perhaps his sanity has been questioned by his partisans or other rebels, as he states revolution is not for the sane. You're right here. You are ready to fight. It seems clear. We will see Saw. That's funny. Divide from Mon Mothma's rebellion in this series. And other quick shots, we see Cinta Kaz and other rebels watching military vehicles go past. We see some of Saw's partisans on this same planet later, suggesting Cinta has maybe joined Saw, perhaps splitting up from Val. Well, we shall see. And see, these are the things that I'll just blow past in some of these previews, but people like this going into the weeds with the details, probably things super Star Wars geeks want to know. It's a different kind of mission, says Luthen, possibly on board the Fonder Hallcraft, which I hope we get to see in action again. When asked, what if it goes up in flames by Cassian, he replies, then it will burn brightly. Luthen has shown that he is willing to poke the Imperial bear to wake people up to rebellion. Perhaps, like on Aldhani, Cassian's actions in this series will trigger an Imperial response that will in turn turn people against the Empire. Luthen looks tired and almost lost in other scenes in the trailer. We know he isn't in Rogue One, so something is coming. In season 1, he said he believed he was damned for his actions. We will see a reckoning for Luthen. Yeah, and I think that's probably something. I think it's safe to assume, that any character that has been integral and important to this series in season 1 and moving forward in season 2, if you didn't see him in Rogue One, they're probably going to have a tragic end here in season 2. We get a fuller sense of what has happened in the Ferrix crew since the uprising in season 1 finale. Brazo, Bix, and Wilmon have been resettled into a peaceful farming community and are enjoying a quiet life until that peace is shattered by the arrival of an Imperial Gazanti cruiser, as seen in The Mandalorian. We see shots of Imperial vehicles arriving to arrest Brasso, while Wilmon runs and exchanges gunfire with stormtroopers. Interspersed with these shots, we see Bix talking about giving up everything to win. We know she reunited with Cassian, but the fates of the others are unclear. If anything happens to Brasso, I'm coming for you, Gilroy. We get a brief look at a facility high up in the mountains. There is Lambda shuttle docked there, so it could be an Imperial base, but the structure looks like it could be a temple or something that's being invaded by Imperials. Krennic again is here. Tying things to the Death Star, we see him exclaiming resistance is absurd, as he is confident in the instrument of terror he is creating. I did like the juxtaposition of him saying this, followed by K2 casually swatting a stormtrooper aside. Yeah, I did like that in that scene. Speaking of the Death Star, we see Clea, without her usual detached calm, talking about this deadly new weapon. Perhaps she and Luthen have become separated, as she no longer seems on top of things. Mon Mothma is very active in this trailer, calling on others to act, though it's never shown clearly who she is speaking to. In what looks to be an epic scene, she speaks more passionately than we've seen her before, warning the Senate that the monster will come for us all. I think Mon is ready to go full rebel at this point, likely after the Gorman massacre, and no longer cares about keeping up appearances. Yeah, it comes a point where the gloves have to come off, and it does seem like, well, I mean, we know what's going to happen next after this, so yeah, gloves definitely got to come off. Sticking with Mon, we get confirmation of what we've suspected in previous trailers, that we will see the wedding of Mon's daughter, Lyda, to the son of thuggish banker Davol Skulden. We see Mon and her husband walking around the couple dressed in white in what must be part of the formal ceremony. In an intriguing shot, we see Deborah Miro clutching her throat, looking helpless and afraid. Could she perhaps be getting choked by an invisible force? Maybe by Vader himself. In another intriguing shot, we see Cyril Karn stating there's a future here for those who dare, but he's standing in his same old dead-end job. In this shot, we see Saul's partisans assembled on the night planet in front of either a large vehicle or a base with laser turrets. We see both Tube's brothers are together, and Morph from Rogue One is an imposing presence at the front. The trailer finishes with quick shots and another look at Cassian stealing the experimental TIE fighter. The trailer promises big moments with big consequences for all the characters. Each member of the growing rebellion, and some members of the Empire too, looks like they're being pushed to their limit. All these scenes, as the thoughtful, character-driven drama from Tony Gilroy, set in a galaxy far, far away, returns. With so many beloved characters returning and big action scenes promised, there is plenty to be excited for when Andor returns to Disney Plus on the 22nd of April. And what do you think about that? I think there probably is good reason to be excited for Andor Season 2. It looks good to me. It looks like it was done well. Season 1 was done well. So for right now, I will say it's probably going to be good. Of course, there's always room to be let down, but from the trailers I've seen, the acting looks like it hasn't shifted. Looks like the plot is just picking up from where it left off last time. And last time I was interested for every episode. So let's see what happens here.